Hey, Janice.
Me.
All right. Today we're going to talk about what happens to your online life when you die. And what I mean by your online life is probably social media, right? So, I mean, how much time do you spend on social media? I mean, it's probably fair to say, I know, right? It's probably fair to say that you spend enough time on there and you post enough pics and rants and whatever that you could probably fairly say that it's part of your legacy. It's part of your time on Earth, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and if you agree with that, and it sounds like you do, then you probably do care about what happens to all the stuff that you've posted, all the photos and whatnot when you die. I mean, because it's part of your legacy. It's part of right. So, yeah, let's talk about that today.
Absolutely. So today we will cover what happens to your social media accounts, other popular digital and online accounts, and email.
And lastly, make sure you stay to the end because I'll also explain how one of the biggest social media companies is really weird about how they approach your stuff when you pass away. So make sure you hang around for that one.
And don't forget, go online, anthonyspark.com/join to get on the list for new books coming out.
Very cool. Let's get started. So let's start with social media in general. We'll cover, so this covers really Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. So those are three of the bigger ones. And when you pass away, your executor or heirs only have the power to delete your account. What I mean by that, the distinction I mean is that they can't manage your account. Or if you want to flip this around, if you're tending to somebody who's passed away, you can't manage their account on their behalf. Alternatively, they do allow you to create sort of in memorial accounts, but it has to be clearly labeled that this is a memorial account of John Smith, and this is not John Smith who's actually posting.
Right.
And the way you either delete or set up a memorial account is similar to with everything else that we talk about with probate and estate stuff. You need a death certificate. You need letters of testamentary. You need the legal proof that you have the authority to deal with the assets or belongings of someone who's passed away. And so the next question we get a lot, or we hear a lot, is what happens if nobody does anything? What happens to the social media account if nobody does anything? So what happens is most of these platforms have sort of automatic deactivation periods. So if an account has been dormant for, it kind of varies per platform, but let's say a year or two, which is like an eternity in social media timescales, then there will be sort of a series of notifications or emails that say, hey, you haven't been active in a while. If you don't log on, in the next, 60 days, well, there's a risk that we're going to deactivate your account. So there's a whole procedure, probably automated, for deactivating dormant accounts. So that is what happens with your social media, most of your social media, when you pass away. Janice, can you jump in and talk about some of the other types of digital accounts?
Yes. So digital accounts, you're talking about Amazon, Apple, eBay, PayPal, the digital accounts. So interesting is that when you pass, and let's say you purchase music and books and things online, they're not yours, so you can't transfer them anywhere. They're gone, right? And I think about all the books I've downloaded over my time, and you can't give them away anymore. Like you have a book and you can hand it to somebody else. It just doesn't work that way because you don't own the rights to them. And I'm sure that's a good topic for another podcast.
Yeah, people don't realize that people who have spent a lot of money accumulating or sort of curating an iTunes library or a Kindle library of books versus music or whatever, they mistakenly believe they have this digital collection that's part of their legacy, but they don't. They are renters. They basically have like a lifelong Blockbuster membership, for whatever you want to call that. But yeah, that's not yours. What that is. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people might not even know what it is.
What is that? No, but that goes back to I have real books, like actual books, and those you can pass along. But the ones that I downloaded, I know they're just kind of gone. They're you read them and they're missing. But except there's some exceptions. There's always exceptions. If you downloaded this onto your hard drive. Yep. So now it's not exactly cloud-based renting. Now it's downloaded onto your hard drive. Of course, someone has to know actually where to find it on your hard drive. But then it's yours. So really in this instance with these digital accounts, close them. But before you completely close, you need to look if there are any balances, whether it's negative or positive. If there's some remaining balance, you can ask for a check to be made out payable to the estate, because that is part of your legacy, that extra. I know that there are a lot of memberships you pay in advance. So if you close it, you may have those few extra months, but you got to look at that.
Yeah, if you've sold anything on eBay and you have a credit sitting in there or on PayPal, Same as anything else. Need a copy of the death certificate, copy of your court authorization, which is called letters of administration or letters of testamentary. Just treat it like a bank or a brokerage account. Anything else you have to deal with money. It's very similar.
Right. Cool. And my 2 cents is, with all of these, you have to do it the right way. You can't just log in and pretend you're that person and continue on. Like, you have to do it the right way, the legal way, which is what we're talking about. Yes.
So the last one is a really important one. The last area is email. And the reason this is so important is in the past, the olden way was that in order to figure out what's going on, we would go to the post office and have the mail forwarded to the executor or whatnot. And we would sort of, we would sort the mail and get clues as to 1099s for bank accounts or correspondence from, et cetera, bank statements. But as we all know, increasingly, we get our bank statements by PDF, by email, or just basically all that stuff is coming to us through email and not through snail mail anymore. So it's really important who and how to get access to email.
Absolutely.
So let's take Gmail, probably one of the more popular ones as an example. Just think of it like the post office. In order to get access to all that, it's just like just the same process as if Janice or I or anyone else had to go to the post office and get access to a deceased person's mail. Copy of the death certificate, court certified letters of testamentary or administration, and then you get full access to the email, right? You can actually, an executor can actually send emails from a deceased person's email address, right? And the reason for that, I would imagine, it's not written out specifically in policy, but I imagine the reason is there's probably things where you have to reply from a specific email address to confirm identity or things like that, and that's probably at least a part of the reason why that exists. Microsoft Hotmail. I don't know if anyone has a Hotmail account anymore. I think they call them Microsoft.com accounts now. But it's similar, but it has an interesting exception in that they don't give you full access to the email, but instead they will snail mail you a DVD of all the contents of your inbox. That is,
wow.
I don't even have a DVD player. Yeah.
Right. And that has to be huge. And do you really want all the information? Not.
Yeah. And it's probably all in like this very text-based format that's really, really hard to read too.
Right. And you have to buy some crazy software to convert it so you can actually look at it. That sounds
Microsoft.
That sounds really hard, actually. Wow. Interesting. So, Anthony, what is the big company that you're talking about that gives everyone a hard time?
It's the company that we all lately love to hate. That is a real pain in the butt in so many areas. It's Facebook, of course. Yeah. So at least they've been consistent because Facebook is pretty consistently creepy in everything they do lately.
Yes.
With regards to privacy.
You say one word, right? You say one word, we'll talk about something, and you talk about tires, and the next day there they are scrolling on your feed. Tires,
So here's how they stay true to character and are creepy when somebody dies. So we talked about before how Twitter, LinkedIn, all the other accounts, you can delete an account or post a memorial account, but that's kind of the tools in your toolkit when somebody passes away. Facebook is different. Even a court-appointed executor who has legal authority to do anything else cannot delete your Facebook profile.
Okay.
Right? You might be able to convert it to a memorial account, but you cannot delete it, and you cannot, do anything else. And the reason for that is because, this is me kind of spitballing here. They probably want to keep their user count up, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just so skeezy. Now, what they do have is they have something called a legacy contact, meaning when you're alive, you can log in and go through the whole, maze of menus to find a way to name somebody as almost like the executor of your Facebook account. And that person is your legacy contact. I don't understand why this person will only be, honored if you did it through Facebook and not a court-appointed executor, but that seems to be how it is right now.
So Facebook and then courts are down.
Right, exactly. Facebook's up here and the court system's down here.
Seems like that matches, but okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the only way you can delete the account through that legacy contact, or if you check the box that upon your death it automatically deletes. Your legally U.S. court-appointed executor cannot delete your Facebook account.
Okay. And I know that this is true because I've seen there's been like 4 people pass away in the past couple of years, and they still pop up on my feed as, hey, do you know this person? Be their friend. And I'm like, oh, they passed years and years ago.
So the court case that made this policy sort of public was that, and I may be messing up the details. You're welcome to look it up on your own. There was a young lady who was murdered. You know, obviously tragedy and death are involved here. Who was murdered by her boyfriend, right? And her Facebook account had all these photos of her and her boyfriend like vacationing and whatever, and like just couples pictures.
Yeah.
And the surviving, I mean, this guy was convicted. It's not like an alleged murder. This guy was convicted of murdering her. But the family wanted to take down these pictures because it was really, really traumatic for them. Facebook wouldn't let them. And I believe still hasn't let them. Yeah.
So they're reminded.
Thanks, Zuckerberg.
You'd think there would be an easier way in this day and age that you could, interesting. So what you're saying is maybe find those settings and see, at least try it. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for.
Yeah, just get off Facebook and Instagram, whichever way was easier for you. Okay. So designations. I think I have the designation, but I didn't know there was a box you could check about deleting it. Okay, now we're going to have to do. Nobody knows. I mean, this is so ridiculous. Yeah.
It is. And they'll probably change something else where there's one more step that they're not going to tell anyone that nobody did. But so I think that's it. That's really interesting that all these are handled so differently. It's going to be interesting to navigate. So thankfully there are people like you who know what they're doing because it's complicated. Don't forget, go online, anthonyspark.com/join, hear about new books. And I think that's it for today.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Janice. We'll talk again next time.
Thanks. Bye.